but who better than me?
Welcome back to the channel and the start of my awards for 2022 in the round of boxing. We're going to start with the female prospect of the year, and there's 5 contenders, but I've already made my decision, so I'm going to go from number 5 all the way up to number 1, and I'll give you a brief summary of how each person has ended up in that position. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so just before I go to number 5, I want to give a couple of honorable shout outs. There were some people that were really close to making this list, but unfortunately, just due to obviously time constraints and looking at the body of work of some of the other people, it was a bit hard for me to put them in. But I want to give a shout out to Sarah Liegman, who I met at the all-female card that Sky Sports and Boxer done, so shout out to her. Sophie Alish, she's had a bit of a stop and start career recently, but still definitely a prospect. 8-0, 1 KO, you know, only 21 years old, so you know, definitely still a prospect in there. Chloe Watson and Georgia O'Connor. So those 4 didn't quite make the list, but I still see fairly big things in their future. There's a few others, but you know, those are the ones I wanted to highlight as they may be the most well-known, or at least the most highest ceiling. But yeah, with that being said, we're going to move to number 5. Okay, so my 5th prospect of the year for 2022 is none other than Virginia Ginny Fuchs. Now, if anyone's seen my Femme Files, you would have seen that I did a little bit of a breakdown on Ginny Fuchs previously. She's had 2 fights this year, the second of which was on that all-female card at the O2 Arena back in October. Former Olympian, was on the same Olympic cycle as Michaela Mayer and Clarissa Shields. So comes from a fairly deep amateur background. Southpaw, currently campaigns at the flyweight division, I believe. I think it's a light fly or flyweight, so in and around there. You know, very skilled, very technical, had 2 very good quality wins this year. Would need to be a bit more active, as obviously she is a bit older than some of the other prospects I will be speaking about. But yeah, my number 5 is Ginny Fuchs. She's got the moves, she's got the style. She's very composed, knows what she's doing, and she can be fast tracked into you know, sort of more title contention. So yeah, Ginny Fuchs, number 5. Now, my 4th prospect is Sky Nicholson. Now this one was a little bit techie, a little bit controversial, because Sky has actually got a very good amateur pedigree and is coming along quite nicely in the pros. Fought 5 times this year and has fought all over the world, I should say. She's fought in the UK, she's fought in America, and she's even been back to Australia to fight there. So she's fought all over the continent, 5 times. The only reason I have her down at number 4 is because at the moment she hasn't got a style that I feel really captivates. It is very much safety first, and she does seem to have the height and reach and range advantage over opponents thus far. So I need to see her in with some people that are closer to her size and dimensions to see how she adjusts to those, and I also need to see how she handles proper aggressive pressure fighters, as so far she's just very much been able to stick on the outside, stick and move, and pot shot her opponents. But she is deserving of this list, and I definitely do see fairly big things in her future. So yeah, with that being said, I am going to go for Sky Nicholson at number 4. All right, my number 3 in the top prospects of 2022 goes to Shannon Chaos Ryan. Now, the reason why I have Shannon above Sky Nicholson primarily is because she fights in a much more entertaining and appealing style to me. She's not simply safety first. She's got very good movement and reflexes and is able to trade, get in and out of range, you know, before suffering, you know, the get back, as a lot of people would call it. But she's also quite vicious with her punch variety. She's got a great left hook. She's got a very good overhand right, and she's got a very nice jab that she employs a lot. Also, if you look at her amateur pedigree, yes, she's got a decent amateur background in boxing, but her primary skill came from taekwondo and kickboxing, where she was a national champion at the juniors in her age range, and I think her weight category, I think moving up through all the you know, sort of all the amateur cycles that she was in. So she's definitely very deep in terms of combat sports and combat knowledge. I can see a lot of it in her style, and it sort of makes for more action-packed fights. Hasn't quite got that first KO yet, but she's not far from it. But like I said, she's just generally entertaining, and I can see her going on to do big things at the flyweight division. She's even potentially considering going, well, I think she's fighting at Superfly at the moment, but she can go down to flyweight if she really wants to. There's a lot of good work around there. So I expect to see big things for Shannon Ryan in 2023. Still waiting for her to come on the breakdown show, but she has said that she will do that at some point. That hasn't influenced this decision, by the way, just stating that. But yeah, number 3, Shannon Ryan, prospect of the year. Okay, so my number 2 pick was kind of difficult because this could have been my number 1. The only reason the number 1 got in above them was just due to some activity. However, my number 2, and if you've seen the breakdown, you would have heard me speak about this one already. The Beast, Beatriz Ferreira. Brazilian silver medalist at the last Olympics. Just turned over pro, is actually staying on to go back through the next Olympic cycle. She desperately wants that gold, and I personally think she could still get it. And her trainer actually is training her for both you know, the pro and the amateur style. So it will be interesting to see how she gets on with that, generally speaking. Now, in her first fight, her debut fight, she actually fought 4 3-minute rounds as a female pro, stating that, you know, you can apply for it, and that's what she wanted. She wanted 6 rounds, but they only approved 4. She fought Taina Cardoso, who was also a very deep Brazilian amateur boxer, and she actually dropped her 2 times, possibly 3. There might have been a third one, but she definitely dropped her at least twice in that first fight. And had it have been a 6-rounder, she definitely would have got the stoppage. And that was against a very deep amateur competitor. In her second fight, she fought Carice Brown, who had also been in the ring with Melissa Odessa Parker. In her debut, they both debuted together. She narrowly lost that one, and she also lost a very contentious decision to Vanessa Bradford, who's been in the ring with both Hyunmi Choi and Alicia Baumgardner. So she's definitely she definitely was a decent level operator, and that was a 6-rounder for 2 minutes each round, and Beatriz Ferreira got her out of there. I believe it was in round 3, round 2 or round 3. So she made light work of that one. She's got a very fan-friendly style, a style that I am happy to watch, and the way she sets up her punches, she has a way of out jabbing her opponents, even though she normally ends up being like the shorter person, but she gets to the jab first. She's got a great combination of punches. She goes head and body, doesn't just head hunt. She's definitely she's definitely what they call a killer in the ring, and someone that I definitely like watching. So my number 2 prospect for 2022 is Beatriz Ferreira. And now my number 1 top female prospect of 2022 is none other than Sweet Caroline Dubois. In terms of activity, Caroline's been in the ring 5 times this year. She has faced a very good level of journeywoman so far in her pro career. Vida Masakite was the only lady thus far this year to take her the distance. She's 5 fights with 4 knockouts. In her second to last fight, she fought Melina Kalova, who went the distance with Katie Taylor back in 2017, I believe it was. And she dispatched of her in 4 rounds. That was on the all women's card from Sky and Boxer on the 15th of October. I was there live and direct, saw that. Excellent, loved it. She's really come out of her shell since, and in her last fight she fought Sofia Rodriguez, who had never been stopped before, had a record of 7-5. She knocked her out in the first round. Now, southpaw, you know I love a southpaw, spiteful southpaw, good body puncher, good punch variety, solid jab, good footwork, and when she gets someone hurt, she goes for the kill. There's no playing about with the food, and that's something that I really appreciate about her. She can neaten up on a few bits and pieces. She's actually very defensively smart with the way that she uses her body to offload and offset shots. I definitely see there's going to be big step ups for her in 2023, and I wouldn't be surprised if the world titles come knocking her way sometime in 2024, probably the first quarter, maybe even the back end of 2023, depending on how many times that she fights. But yeah, that is my #1 prospect of the year for 2022 on the female side, Sweet Caroline Dubois, and it's well deserved.